Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, let's see how to make this beautiful resin teacher coasters for teachers and kids. So let's get started. I got this mold from Amazon, so I'm using it for the first time. This has 6 cavities in it, so you can make 6 different coasters at the same time. So let's get started. First things first, safety. I'm using a gloves here and a PPE mask to keep myself safe. Always make sure you're using a resin in a very well ventilated space. You don't want to get yourself sick because of using resin. I am using a 1:1 resin here for this coaster. So part A, I am poured 104 grams and part B another 104 grams. So that's going to make it to a total of 208 grams of resin in total. As you can see, it always has to be equal and correct. It's 208 now. Then you have to make sure you're mixing this resin at least for 3 minutes straight. So this will help you release all the air bubbles and the mixing is done correct. Now I'm pouring these to 5 different containers because we have 6 colors. I'll be using 6 different colors for this project and making sure that I have all the colors that I want. Also, it is recommended to pour to another container, thereby it releases air bubbles as well, so you can make use of this tip whenever needed. I'm using different colors as I've already mentioned: blue, orange, purple, some of the colors that are commonly used and that I have handy. So just a little, these are color pigments, so just a little will go a very long way. The major tip here that you'll have to keep in mind is mixing them really well. They have to get dissolved in the resin really well so that there are no lumps and clumps. So sometimes when the resin is curing, you can see some of the colors come down and cure. You don't want that to happen. So you have to make sure that you're mixing it really well. If you want, you can also pour it to another container to make sure that the resin and the pigments are completely mixed. Make sure this and then pour it onto your mold. Do not pour it onto your mold without checking that the resin is completely mixed with the pigment. This is going to take a really long time because, as I said, mixing is very important. Then next step is to prep your mold. First things first is you're going to spray a lot of isopropyl alcohol all over the mold, especially in your cavity, so that we do not want any air bubbles in the base layer. So I'm going to pour in the resins that I've mixed, all the colors that I've mixed. I'm going with green, blue, red, then comes yellow, and then the purple, and then last but not the least, I do have orange. There it is. So now this is the first layer of the coaster that we're doing, and I've left it to cure for after 24 hours. As you can see, it's all very sturdy and firm. So now I've got some of these charms like the crayons, some push pins, some erasers that I have got from Walmart. I'm just going to be putting the colors that I want into each of the coasters, how I want them to look. Also some of the push pins, as I've already mentioned. We just want it to look cute and beautiful, so you can add around, play with the stuffs that you want. An eraser. Also a quick tip here, you can make sure you're cutting the eraser into half so you can avoid a lot of air bubbles there. As you can see, I have not cut the eraser now, but I'll be cutting them in some time. And also I had bought some jump clips. I'm making sure that I've putting some of the jump clips in the color coasters accordingly, because we don't have yellow jump clips. I'm just putting in the orange ones there, and some of this charms that I had got just to give it a little pop look. You can also add in glitters if you have, or anything you can completely play around. So I'm also adding I broke the pencil into two and then I made sure I sharpen it in to look like a pencil, and then I'm adding that here as well. So that's it. Next is that we're mixing the resin again and then pouring. So you have to make sure that you're pouring a very little resin first. As you can see, I'm pouring a lot of resin here, which is absolutely wrong. Please do not do this. I'll show you why you should not be doing this. See the air bubbles. You do not want this to happen. There are lots of air bubbles, lots of crack and ink bleeding. But the yellow one, you see, there is absolutely no air bubbles and there is no ink bleed. I'll tell you why this has happened. So when you pour in the resin together at the same time, all the air bubbles in your pencil, the crayons, your eraser, it's going to come up to the surface. That's not how you want things to be. You just have to pour a little bit of resin, let it for an hour, then keep in your things like the crayon, your eraser, and your push pins there. So in this way, the things will not be moving around, and also you will get a chance for the air bubbles to release little by little. So the pencil there, you can see it has a small hole in it, so it's going to send out a lot of air bubbles. You do not want that to happen. So when you put in a small layer of resin, it's going to cure first, and then you just have to work it out. So make sure you're doing it in 3 intervals. So first layer is going to be a solid color, which is the yellow in this case, and then once that is cured, pour very little small layer of resin, and then put in the things on top of it. Let it cure at least for 8 hours, and then pour in your next layer of resin, which can coming up to the brim. So that's how you should be doing. As you can see, this has zero air bubbles, no cracks, no ink bleed, nothing. But the remaining 4, they were a complete disaster. So make sure you follow this step. Next step is printing the name or even a message. If you want, you can just get it printed using a Cricut. I'm just using the black and the white permanent vinyl here, and I'm just going to be taking off the excess, and I'm going to be putting it on my resin coaster here. Next step is using your transfer tape to transfer the name onto the coaster. So you can either align it vertical or horizontal, however you've imagined the design to look, or however you've imagined the output to look as. So I think black will look amazing on yellow, so I went ahead with black in this case. So you can see some air bubbles there that will vanish once you pour in the next layer of resin, which is the final layer of resin in this case. You don't have to worry. There's also a trick for that. Just spray a little bit of water and then make sure you're sticking your vinyl onto it. In that way also you can avoid some air bubbles. So this is then the final layer, the top coat. Again, a 1:1 resin mixed for 3 minutes continuously, and then left it aside for a couple of minutes for the air bubbles to release naturally. You can also use your heat gun if you have, to pop off the excess air bubbles. Sometimes even a lighter will help you. I'm using a perfect resin here, so I don't have the air bubble issue much when I'm pouring for these kind of cases. Just making sure the resin is evenly coated because I don't want it to look bad. After 24 hours, this is our final product. Absolutely no air bubbles. Is a perfect gifting idea for teachers and children. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. I'll be able to help you. Thank you.